Ayo, welcome to episode 2 of Create This Book 3 by Mariah Elizabeth and Ashleigh Monet. That would be me. So my new Create This Book 3 playlist is going to be linked in the description of this video, as well as any future Create This Book 3 videos. Highly recommend subscribing so that you don't miss any of those videos as they're released. We've got 4 new prompts to tackle today. So enough of me talking, let's jump right in and see what I can create. Actually, before we jump in, I want to address something that I've been meaning to mention, but have yet to find somewhere in my previous voiceovers to add it. So I complete the pages of these books in chronological order because I am determined to finish all of them. The way I see it, most people just kind of bounce around and pick their favorites first. Then they're left with only the prompts that don't excite them at all. And most of them abandon the book entirely. By going in order, I complete the kind of blah prompts one at a time as I go along, and I always know there are going to be better ones to come, so I don't lose motivation. Okay, now for real, let's get in here. First prompt of the week, create bewilderment. Draw something completely ridiculous and pointless on this page. For this one, I wanted to build off of a prompt I did in last week's Create This Book 2 episode, where I merged the crow and the flamingo to create the crow-mingo. Totally ridiculous and pointless, but so much fun. And I actually had a second idea for a merge, and I just haven't been able to let it go. For this one, I will be merging 2 of my favorite animals, the orca and the octopus. The thing I love about orcas is how different they are from other whales. Whales are mostly gentle giants, but the orca can be so deadly when provoked. I mean, they call it the killer whale for a reason. But they're also highly intelligent and very emotional. And I love that. As for the octopus, I mean, who wouldn't love something that looks so bizarre? Plus, fun fact, 8 is my lucky number, so gotta love that they have 8 tentacles. Give each of these a label. Specimen 1, orca. Specimen 2, octopus. Let's skip ahead on all the little details. Gorgeous. Now on to the merging of these 2 lovely specimens. It has the head of an orca, only chunkier to closer resemble the shape of an octopus head. Also with those bulging octopus eyes. It has the orca's fins, and of course the 8 tentacles of the octopus. And it'll definitely have the coloring of the orca, mostly black with a white underbelly, and of course the signature white orca markings on the face. And for this one's label, Specimen X, the octopus. Let's detail it out. Yes. These 2 white tentacles are looking super out of place to me, like some Gumby legs. We'll just make it look like it's the underside by adding the little suction cups. There, that'll make them more cohesive. And now that we have both pages, I want to transform them into pages of these illegible notes. I'm just scribbling here. I'm thinking along the lines of Leonardo da Vinci's notes and sketches, if you follow me. We need a color wash to make them look nice and ancient. It's like I have this story in my head where some kid wanders up to the attic of his great-grandpa, a former zoologist, where he finds a dusty journal filled with notes and sketches about animals he encountered in his glory days. Give it a good crumble for the aged effect, and then literally just taped it in, the way a kid would if he wanted to keep the memento. And here it is, a historical record of the existence of the octopus. The wrinkles make it a little hard to see some of the details that I feel like I slaved over, but I love that this one truly has a story and a vibe. Now we can move on to the next. Create stained glass. Use only straight lines to make a design. Add color in the shapes created. It took me all of about 2 seconds to decide that my stained glass would definitely be a mermaid. I'm obsessed. The sketch took me ages. Basically, I had to sketch the image I want, then go over everything, simplifying the drawing and only using straight lines. And now to go over that with liner. I used 3 different liners, with the thickest being used for the basic shapes, and then it gets thinner and thinner with the details. I added some little fishy friends for her, and a starburst pattern in the background. Really agonized over what medium to color this in with. I wanted to do watercolor, but I knew it would be so difficult to be precise with some of these little details. So I settled on watercolor pencils, figuring it would be easier. But it was clear this was going to take a while. Fast forward. There we go. Now we can activate with water. I was super happy at this point with how it was working. Things went slightly awry with my next move though. In my vision, she was supposed to look as though she was underwater with only her tail, boobs, and face protruding. Kind of like this. So I decided to do a wash of blue watercolor over everything that was supposed to be submerged. However, I made 2 grave errors. The first, I accidentally crossed some of the lines, getting blue on areas that were meant to be protruding, not submerged. Second screw up, I hadn't considered that the coat of blue would reactivate the watercolor pencils, causing them to smear everywhere in a very undesirable way. I got frustrated and just decided to put blue over everything. It still looks okay, but it's not the vibe I was going for. I feel like I should have either done the blue wash before the watercolor pencils or just used something non-water-based like alcohol markers or regular colored pencils to do the blue on top. Oh well, you live and you learn. Well, here is my finished stained glass, and I have no idea how it ended up so wrinkled. I give myself an A+ for idea, C- for execution. Moving on, our next prompt is create resistance. Draw something heavy on top of something light. Starting with a nice black background, I already knew my light object was going to be a feather. I have these awesome gold feather stickers that I've just been dying to use. Now trying to brainstorm something heavy, I kept thinking an elephant. And when trying to combine the elephant and feather ideas, I thought, of course, Dumbo. It's perfect. I haven't done anything Disney so far, and I am a big Disney nut. So on this page, I opted to use gold and write a quote from the movie. The very things that held you down are going to carry you up and up and up. I like this quote because it's a nice reminder that when something seems awful, it might just be a blessing in disguise. And now to draw Dumbo. I used alcohol-based markers for his color and then fine-lined the details. I decided to draw him flying with his little feather. It's not exactly something heavy on top of something light as much as something heavy above something light, but whatever, you get it. I wanted to tie it into those stickers by putting some gold in the feather. Cut him out, glue him in, and now for the stickers. I was so excited for this, but as I started laying them out, I found myself very bothered by how much my golds didn't match each other. I just couldn't deal. So like a psycho, I ripped off the feather I drew and started over with fresh black. Oh, and I covered the quote too, so that I could rewrite it in white. While I'm here, let's give him some flight lines too. And to be sure I had no issues matching, I just cut up one of the stickers and used that in place of my feather drawing. Here it is finished. I'm much, much, much happier with the changes. It's cohesive and simple and super cute. That brings us to the last prompt of the week. Create an I Spy page. Hide different items in a chaotic scene. Include an I Spy search. I immediately had beef with this prompt. A chaotic scene? I knew it was going to be so much drawing. In fact, the liner alone took over an hour, so let's just skip that. Now on to coloring. I also opted to use my alcohol-based markers on this one. In trying to come up with a chaotic scene where it would be easiest to hide things, a kitchen just seemed obvious. Of course, messy kitchens give me anxiety and I'm a stickler for things to be matchy-matchy. Who, me? But I knew I'd have to do a ton of different colors to keep the eyes busy, so this was like a mild form of torture for me. Still, I did my best to make it cute, kind of a retro bohemian vibe. Of course, I had to add a little calico kitty on the fridge, and because the idea of a messy kitchen immediately takes my mind to the upcoming holiday of Thanksgiving, I even popped a turkey in the oven. Now to add in the images of the hidden items. Don't worry, I kept it pretty simple. Juicy highlight time! Well, here it is all finished. If you want to do a quick pause to find the items on your own, now would be the time to do that. Okay, and now we'll find them together. The grape jam is there. Lavender wine glass, there. The flour canister is right there. Paprika is this one here. The teal teacup, this one. Pink bowl, front and center. The orange tumbler, let's just say it's close by. And lastly, the spatula. There it is. How'd you do? A coat of Mod Podge. And to give the prompt some pink, purple, and blue zhuzh, I hated the way this eye looked. Much happier with that. Now let's glue this bad boy in. And here's a closer look. Definitely a love-hate relationship with this one. Love the end result, but sure hated getting there. Anyways, let's recap this week's work. We created Bewilderment by combining the orca and the octopus through genetic fusion to create the orctopus. Something completely ridiculous and pointless that one would be bewildered if they saw. We created stained glass, an image of a lovely mermaid and some fishies underwater, all made solely with straight lines. We created resistance with a picture of our heavy elephant Dumbo on top of the lightest feather. So glad I got to use those stickers. And lastly, we created an I Spy page with several little items hidden around our messy kitchen in preparation for Thanksgiving. Let me know which page was your favorite in the comments. Drop me a like, subscribe if you're not already, and of course come back next week to see what I create next. Aga bye!